Operations. The Executive Vice President and Chief of Staff for the CEO of USAA is a retired Brigadier General who served as the Commander of the U.S. Air Force Office of Special Investigations. Please give a warm welcome to USAA Executive Vice President Dana Simmons.
Well, hello, fellow Legionnaires. I am Dana Simmons. I'm the Chief of Staff of USAA, and I also served 33 years in the United States Air Force. Are there airmen out there? Fly, fight, and win, right? How about USAA members? All right. Thank you for your membership. In preparing to come speak to you today, because I was told I only had an hour and a half, I felt like I needed to trim down the subjects a little bit, but I wanted to tell you what being a member of the American Legion means to me. And it revolves around three things: my family legacy, a connectivity to the military, and of course, service, which you understand intimately well. My family has a long history with the American Legion. My dad, in fact, bought my first membership to the American Legion about 30 years ago. And my grandfather served in World War I, and my father served in World War II. All my children, all my uncles, and all my nephews have served. The American Legion was a part of our daily life growing up as a kid. A lot of it revolved around my grandfather and my father. I can't tell you how many parades I went to watch them march, how many memorial dedications, but the highlight of our week was always the fish fry at the American Legion on Friday nights. I can tell you as a kid, I knew every nook and cranny of that American Legion. I knew where I was supposed to go, and I knew where I wasn't supposed to go, and I went there frequently. It was just expected. My brothers and I were always looking forward to the American Legion. I bought my sons and my son-in-law membership too because I want them to have an opportunity to see what I saw growing up as a kid. Which kind of brings me to my second point, connectivity. When I first left the military in 2010, I really immersed myself into USAA and tried to learn my job and trying to learn this new skill called being a civilian. It was new to me. The big reason I joined USAA was because I wanted to be part of a mission-driven company, one that was here to serve the men and women of the armed forces and our veterans, and wasn't here to serve the bottom line or looking for a profit margin. I wanted to be part of something that gives back to those who have served and those who I have served with. And I've been able to see this in my almost 10 years at USAA. And the American Legion has done the same thing for me. It allows me to be part of something that connects to my own military service. It helps me stay connected to an important part of my family heritage. I have to tell you, after taking a short break and reestablishing my connection through the American Legion, it has been a life-changing event for myself and my family. As I put my cover on today, I'm reminded about how special it is to wear it. The last time I wore it was in Normandy at the 75th anniversary of D-Day. As I wore the cover and walked those beaches where so much sacrifice was made by so many valiant men and women, people would come up to us while we were wearing our Legion hats. They would come up to us and they would thank us for our service and our sacrifice. People from other countries. And it gave you a warm, self-satisfied feeling to know that you were part of something special. It reminded me, however, of the first time I returned from Iraq. I was on an airplane, one of those great contract flights that was crammed full of GIs. We flew out of the Middle East and we landed in Baltimore, Maryland. When we left the aircraft and were walking on the jetway, I heard this horrible noise in the terminal. It sounded like a riot. There was screaming and yelling, and we were all bracing ourselves for we were all in battle dress uniforms. We were all bracing ourselves for what is going on in the terminal. And when we entered the terminal, what I realized was everybody was standing up and cheering for us. It was a moment I'll never forget. It was a moment that made me understand that veterans stand for the best part of this country, and our country remembered. After we recovered from the stunned feeling, it did remind me while I was on Normandy that, in fact, our country does care about the sacrifices, does care about what the veteran represents in our society. But we here know, that whenever we send forces into the field, there is a potential for losses. There are those that don't come back. So every handshake I ever got, every time somebody said thank you for the service, I tried to remember that their thank yous are really for the men and women that didn't come home. And that drove a very fine point with me, which brings me to my last reason, service, which I think you understand. The American Legion has been a very important part of helping this country remember our veterans. They have served well. It keeps veterans' issues alive, and it keeps us in front of the American public. Additionally, organizations like the Legion play key roles in helping to ensure that we'll hopefully never, ever go back and experience what our veterans from Vietnam experienced when they returned home. Any Vietnam vets here? Welcome home. Welcome home. When a country decides to go to war, the men and women in uniform, they do their duties. They're not the ones that make the decision to go to war. We must, as a group, keep advocating for those men and women who have served and sacrificed. The Legion does that with its legislative efforts and its efforts in helping to reform health care. I'm proud to stand in front of you today as a member of the Legion and as a member of USAA, because I believe they're both very close and have many, many similarities. They're both centered on doing what's right for the veteran, helping take care of the veterans. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what the membership in the Legion means to me. It's an honor, truly an honor for me to be here today. Thank you for what you do to advocate for the men and women who serve. I am truly humbled to be surrounded by so many great Americans who continue to this day to fight for our veterans that are currently serving and that have served in the past. Thank you, my fellow Legionnaires, and I salute you.